My dad has always liked fixing things. Feels like he was always in the middle of a project. And sometimes he'd let me help. There was this one time where partway through changing the oil, he left me in the garage for a little while. By myself.
This is not to tell your dad not to yell at you. Aw, I know. Hey, bring it back. I'm pumped that you guys are here tonight. We get to start something new. We're starting a series called The Last Stand. We're going to be looking at some key moments of Jesus, especially as we get ready for Easter. Easter is just a couple of days away, and it's a chance where we get to celebrate Jesus bringing the stronger stuff into our life to help us. But I'm curious, raise your hand if you are a part of any sort of team activity. This could be a class project, this could be a play, this could be a sport. Okay, everybody. Yes, we all know what it's like to be upon a team activity. And I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, there were certain roles in a team sport or a team event that just had a little bit more weight to it than the other roles that were there. Like for me, I grew up playing baseball. And if you were ever put to bat fourth in the lineup, that really communicated to everybody, you're the best hitter. And there was a lot of pressure on it because you needed to hit in the runs of the people that got on base. That was the role of the fourth batter. If you run track and you run like the 4x100 or the 4x400, usually whoever is in the last spot, the closer, is the fastest person on the team. And their job is to keep the lead that the team has brought them and to finish off the race and to win. If you were in a play and you've ever auditioned or you've gotten the lead role, then you know that kind of communicates, hey, this is probably the best actor in the group. And there's a lot of weight on that. And there are these moments in our life where we're going to be put into these pressure moments. And the thing is we do not want to fail these pressure moments for a couple of reasons. One, it's super embarrassing. Two, usually for us who have gotten into that position, that means that somebody saw potential in us. Hey, you're really good at this. I think you can thrive in this role, and they put you in, and if you mess up, you do not want to let them down. And I remember there would be moments where I got asked to bat fourth, or I was put in this closing position. I was never an actor, so running or playing was not my thing. But I would feel so stressed. But if I ever succeeded, like if I was in batting fourth and I batted in a run, man, I felt phenomenal. I was like, this is the best day of my life. If I ever struck out, I felt absolutely horrible, just totally deflated. If I lost our team the race, I felt miserable. If I won my team the race, I felt great. And what I'm realizing now is that what I was dealing with and what I was wrestling with was my pride. And by pride, what I mean is this. Pride is our emotional response to our perceived status. And you might think, I don't deal with pride. I'm like, you probably do. Because here's how. It's how people perceive you. Hey, people see me as really good at this, and so therefore I feel really great about myself. People see me as smart. People see me as funny. People see me as athletic. Therefore, man, I feel really good. Man, people see me as not funny. People see me as a failure. Man, I feel really bad. That is our pride going up and going down. And there are a few sides of pride. One side of pride is actually really healthy. It's this idea that you have done something that you are proud of. So it could be, hey, I studied really hard for this test. I got an A. I'm really proud of that. I put in the work. It paid off. I'm proud of what I've done. I tried really hard. I made the team. I'm really proud of that. That is a good side of pride. The bad side of pride is when it turns into our identity. Meaning, hey, I tried really hard. I got on the team. Yeah, I am. I'm a better athlete than everybody. I'm faster than you because I made this team. I'm smarter than you because I get asked to lead the class projects. I'm funnier than you because I make more people laugh. And so when it becomes a part of our identity, our pride can become extremely sinful really fast. And here's the problem. All of us are corrupted by the same sin, and all of us wrestle and struggle with our pride. All of us at one point or another, whether you think you have or you haven't, will look at the people around us and think, yeah, I'm better. Maybe I'm better at following Jesus. That's pride. Maybe I am better at making people laugh. That's pride. Maybe I'm better at school. That's our pride. And we can look throughout the Bible and see that pride is the root and the core of a lot of the biggest sins that we see there. Go back to Genesis. Genesis chapter 3, when Adam and Eve, when they ate the fruit, their first sin was not that they ate the apple or the fruit, whatever it was. Their first sin was their pride. They're thinking to themselves, yeah, I'm deserving to be like God. I should know good and evil. I should know the difference. Therefore, I'm going to eat this fruit so I can be like God. You fast forward a couple chapters later, and there's this moment of the Tower of Babel, where humanity gathers together, and they're like, we are so smart, we are so great at building things, we are so awesome as a civilization, we're going to build a tower to the heavens, and we are going to compete with God at his level. That is their pride coming out. We look at the Gospels, and one of the biggest critiques that Jesus has of the Pharisees is their pride. Jesus says this in Matthew chapter 23. It says this, they do everything to be seen by others. They enlarge their phylacteries, they lengthen their tassels, they love the places of honor at the banquets, the front seats in synagogues, greetings in the marketplace, and to be called rabbi by people. Jesus says, man, the things that the Pharisees love is that people perceive them as greater than other people. All of us are going to wrestle with our pride, and pride will be like a cancer and a poison to our friends and to our groups and to our community. And so we have to hope that Jesus offers us something better. And so today we're going to look at just that. So I need you to grab a Bible. If you have your own and you are cooler than everybody else, open it up to the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verse 1. The Gospel of John, chapter 13, verse 1. Do I have an extra Bible? Right here. You? I'm not going to throw it. That's a good point. Anybody else need a Bible? No? Great. You're turning to the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verse 1. As you're getting there, let me share with you a little bit of what's happening. This passage is the beginning of what is called the upper room discourse. That is because Jesus is sitting in an upper room with his disciples, and he's about to give them his final teachings before he goes to the cross. So in John chapter 13, verse 1, it says this, and before the Passover festival, Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart from this world into the Father. And having loved his own who are in the world, he loved them to the end. And now when it was time for supper, the devil had already put it into the heart of Judas, Simon Iscariot's son, to betray him. And Jesus knew that the Father had given everything into his hands, and that he had come from God, and that he was going back to God. So he got up from supper, laid aside his outer clothing, took a towel, and he tied it around himself. So John's going to start this passage off making one thing extremely clear. Jesus is very aware, and he knows that he is about to die. Jesus goes into this meal with his disciples knowing, all right, my hour has come. I'm about to depart from this world, meaning I'm about to die. I'm about to go back to the Father. My death on the cross is at hand. And for some reason, Jesus still has the strength and the courage to keep moving forward. He does not run away. He does not hide from what God has called him to do. Jesus is able to move forward. And the reason that he is because of love. It is out of a pouring of love that Jesus has for his disciples, that he has for Judas, that he has for me and for you, that Jesus can bear the weight of the cross. One commentator says it this way, in the end, there is no explanation for the cross other than the love of God. There can be no other, for we certainly do not deserve it and can never earn it. Out of an abundance of love for me and for you, for Peter, for the disciples, even for Judas, Jesus knows that the cross is about to happen, and he continues forward anyway. And it's wild. John is making it very clear, and he's going to say it again later on, that Judas is here for all of this. Jesus knows that Judas is about to betray him. Jesus knows that Judas has already decided to betray him. He knows that there is a plan in place to betray him, and he doesn't call Judas out. He doesn't yell at Judas. He doesn't kick him out of the dinner. He doesn't smite him with all of his godly powers. He does for Judas what he's about to do for everybody else. And it says this in verse 5. And next, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to dry them with a towel around him. And he came to Simon Peter, who asked him, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? And Jesus answered him, what I am doing you don't realize now, but afterward you will understand. You will never wash my feet, Peter said. And Jesus replied, if I don't wash you, you have no part with me. And Simon Peter said to him, Lord, not only my feet, but also my hands and my head. The one who is bathed, Jesus told him, doesn't need to wash anything except his feet, but he is completely clean. You are clean, but not all of you. For he knew who would betray him, and that is why he said, not all of you are clean. So after acknowledging to Jesus himself, all right, I'm about to die. I'm about to be betrayed by one of my closest friends, Judas. Jesus gets up from the table, and he goes around and he washes the disciples' feet. I want you to understand how this looks. This is a picture of what a dinner in the ancient Near Eastern world would have looked like. They don't have tables and chairs like we do. They have these low tables, and everybody lays down, and everybody's feet stick out away from the table because your feet are the dirtiest part of you. And Jesus would be like right here. This is the place of honor. This is where the teacher and the rabbi would sit. And so Jesus got up from that middle spot, everybody watching him, and he goes around the circle, disciple to disciple, and he starts to wash their feet. And the reason that Jesus does this, and the reason that John adds this in his gospel, is because this is the most demeaning and disgusting task anybody could have done. Nobody willingly washed feet. The only people who were considered low enough that people looked down on so much and that they said, man, you could wash my feet, were slaves and children. Those were the people. So adults did not do this. Men in the Jewish culture did not do this. Rabbis, people who were teachers of the law, definitely did not do this. Somebody who has claimed to be God himself does not get up from the table and wash people's feet. It is the most demeaning thing that could happen. And so the reason that Peter gets so upset and he gets so frustrated with Jesus and will not allow him to wash his feet, it's not because Peter's embarrassed. It's not because Peter has ticklish feet and he's worried he's going to giggle in front of Jesus. It's not because he's worried that his feet smell. It's because for him to let Jesus lower himself to this level would be a disgrace against him. And so Peter pushes back and he's like, Jesus, you cannot wash my feet. If you're going to wash me, at least wash my head, wash my hands, wash my whole body so it is less degrading of a thing to do. And then Jesus tells him something really important. He says, unless I wash you, you have no place with me. And it's this moment that Jesus makes it really clear that, Peter, you are unable to clean yourself. I am the only one who can, and if I do not do it, you have no place with me. And the same is true for us today. Unless Jesus is the one who washes us from our dirt and from our sin, we have no place with him. We are unable on our own to clean ourselves. From the pride that is in our life, we cannot do it. It's why we watched this video beforehand. Because as much as this boy wanted to clean the oil off of his body on his own, he could not do it. He needed his dad. He needed something stronger that could clean through the stains of his life. The pride that is in us, the sin of pride that has dwelt within each of us, cannot be cleaned away unless Jesus does it. And so then Jesus explains exactly why he did this. In verse 12, he says this, and when Jesus had washed their feet and he put on their outer clothing, he reclined again and said to them, do you know what I have done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are speaking rightly, since that is what I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also are to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should also do just as I have done for you. Truly, I tell you, a servant is not greater than his master, and a messenger is not greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, you are blessed if you do them." And so then Jesus teaches his disciples. He says this, "Look, you call me Lord. That is true. You call me teacher. That is accurate. I am those things. Therefore, you are now called to do the example that I have set before you. I want you, the disciples, Judas, I want everybody to know that I was willing to humble myself and wash your feet. And the call is to go ahead and humble yourself and to wash the feet of the others." Because we have to remember, like, Jesus is God. He could have sat there and laid there and demanded that any one of those disciples get up off the ground and wash the feet of everybody. And he would have been in his right, and his pride would have not been sinful, because Jesus can say, yeah, I am God. I am better than humanity. And instead of doing that, he gives us the second greatest example of humility ever recorded, and he washes the disciples' feet. The only example of humility greater than this is the fact that Jesus humbled himself to the point of death, even death on a cross. This is the example that Jesus just left us. And so to know Jesus means to know humility. And to be like Jesus means to be humble. And so as followers of Jesus, this is our example. And that means that if you're here and you're saying, hey, Jess, Jesus is my Lord and he is my teacher, therefore we should be some of the most humble people around. We should be the people who are so willing to take the lowest seat, to serve anybody and everybody. Anybody who we think we are better than, we are called instead to be able to say, nope, I'm going to serve you. I am not better than you. One commentator put it this way. He says, little becomes of Jesus' followers more than humility. Christian zeal divorced from transparent humility sounds hollow, even pathetic. What he's saying is, imagine if you're really excited about Jesus, you're on fire, and you come to youth group, and you go to church, and you worship with your hands raised, and you invite all of your friends, and you tell people about Jesus, and you go out in public, and you pray over people, and you have this zeal, this excitement for who Jesus is, and yet you have an attitude of pride where you look down on everybody. And you're like, yeah, I'm so much better because I follow Jesus and I do what Jesus asked. Therefore, I am better than you guys. You guys should all follow my example because of how good and holy I am. Then the faith that we have is hollow. Some would even say it's pathetic because it's the exact opposite of the example and what Jesus has taught us. So here's the problem, though. If we are called to be humble every day of our lives, and that is the goal, we are going to fail. Because all of us are corrupted by the same sin of pride, and all of us at some point in our life are going to choose to recline at the table rather than to get up and start washing people's feet. There is no way that on our own we would ever be capable of living the humble life that Jesus has called us to. And yet that's the beauty of this passage, and that is the power of Easter. Is in the fact that in a couple of hours, Jesus is going to die. He's going to be crucified for crimes he never committed. And then 3 days later, he's going to rise again. And when he rises again, he's going to come back to his disciples, and he's going to give them something that nobody else can give them. Like, if we can look around, anybody can motivate you to be more humble. Like, any content creator can go on YouTube, can make some shorts, can have the inspiring music, can tell you to be humble, and you could feel this sense of like, yes, you're right, I should be more humble. And we could go out and try it in our own strength for a couple of days and maybe do really good, but eventually we will fall back into our normal, prideful selves. What Jesus does is different, is that he gives us his Holy Spirit. That when Jesus rose again, he gave us the Spirit so that we can live in the power of God. Because Jesus humbled himself to wash us, we have been freed from the pride that divides us. And it's not because you're humble. It's not because you can do it on your own. It's because Jesus has given you his power through his Holy Spirit because of his resurrection. And the only way, though, that we can live into this power of Jesus, the only way that his Spirit can really enable us to be humble is if we have an intimate knowledge of knowing Jesus. Meaning every day I wake up and I'm just thinking to myself, how can I be like Jesus? How can I just know Jesus more in my life? And so I want to offer you a couple of things that you can do this week that's not to be humble, but things that you can do to connect with Jesus so that his humility bleeds out into your own life. And the first is this. I would encourage you, if you have a phone, turn it off for an hour and sit outside. Like, there is nothing like being in God's creation. Nothing on your phone can mimic what God has created with his hands. It is not as good, it's not as glorious, it's not as fun, it's not as exciting. And so I would encourage you, man, take a break from the distractions for 1 hour. Sit in the presence of God and his nature. Allow Jesus to meet you. The second thing I would encourage you to do is this. Have a faith conversation this week. Like, the things that are on our mind the most are the things that we tend to talk about the most. Whenever there is a season of Survivor on, that is what is on my head, and therefore that is what I talk about. I ask people, do you watch Survivor? No. Why? You should. And I try to get as many people to watch it as I can. But I can train myself that the things that I talk about are the things that are going to be on my mind. So if you have a goal saying, hey, I'm going to talk about Jesus more, Jesus will be on your mind more. And so have a faith conversation this week. Third thing I would invite you to do is this. Come serve at church. Like, there is a sense that when you are a part of a community of people who are saying, hey, I want to dedicate my time and I want to dedicate my energy into creating an environment where other people can know and experience Jesus, that is going to create with us a dependency on him like nothing else. That community is going to influence you. So if you're like, yeah, I want to be more intimate with Jesus, serve with other people who love Jesus. And the last thing I would tell you to do is this. I would say affirm the people around you. Like, if you can just notice the good in somebody and you can call it out and say, hey, man, your hair's looking great today. Hey, if you could look at somebody and say, oh, man, love your fit. You guys know where this is going. If you could say to somebody, your fit's tough, it's a game changer. It feels so good. If you've ever been in a situation where you have received a random compliment out of nowhere, you know how much that lifts up your day. You can do that for people. And that's one of the most Jesus-y things that we could do is to see the good and to call it out. So affirm the people around you. So here's the thing. The goal in our life is that we can be humble like Jesus. And the reality is we will never do it on our own. The only way we can do it is if Jesus gives us the power to do so. And the way that he does that is by us being intimately knowing who Jesus is. And so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pray. We'll go downstairs. We'll get some dinner. Once we're done with dinner, we'll break into small groups. But before we do any of that, I want you to close your eyes. I want to read you part of a poem. This is a poem that was written by an ancient Christian who lived hundreds of years ago, and he read this passage, and he was in awe of what God had done. And so I just want you to hear these words, and then we'll pray, and then we'll eat. Is it not enough that I am considered yours? Is it not enough that I am considered by you and called first by your friends? But are you to wash my feet, vessels of clay, you, the potter of the universe? And my perishable legs and feet, you, O Redeemer, desire to wash them. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy on us, you who bear with all and receive all. Jesus, we thank you for the sacrifice that you made. God, we thank you for the power that you have given us. With this week, we just create time to be with you so that your humility can bleed out into our lives. Would people see you through us, not because we're trying hard, but because we are just dependent upon your power. God, we thank you. Lord, we love you. I pray all of this in your good name, Jesus Christ, the righteous one. Amen.